Suicide in Japan is considered to be a major social issue, with a suicide rate of 24 per 100,000 persons in the year 2000. The government invested a whopping 16.3 billion yen towards suicide prevention strategies in 2009, and fortunately has found success with each passing year. But in 2017, an unprecedented problem arose in the midst of the government's effort to reduce the country's suicide rate, where one individual took advantage of the problem and used it instead to fulfill his own twisted desire. He would lure his victims into his home so he could watch them commit suicide, and if they ever hesitate, he would do it for them instead. He was so effective in luring his victims that in a short span of 2 months, he murdered 9 people. Takahiro Shiraishi was the quiet, skinny kid in school. He was born on October 9, 1990 in Zama, Japan, where he lived with his parents and a younger sister. He joined the baseball team as a freshman in high school and the track team during his senior years. Although his grades were average, he was a diligent student who never missed a day of class. It was when his parents got divorced when things started to change. His mother and sister moved out as a result, leaving him and his father. He started working odd jobs after graduating in 2009, before working as a scout in Kabukicho district, and Takahiro's job was to lure young women to work in the clubs he was working for. The struggle from his parents' divorce to the failure of finding a stable job, the moment he was given a suspended prison term for his work as a scout, broke him. He told his father that he struggled to find meaning in his life, and instead of going to the route of becoming suicidal, Takahiro instead discovered a way to fulfill his darkest desires by turning to Twitter. Takahiro made 2 accounts with the name I Want to Die and a professional at hanging. In his first account, he portrayed himself as a despondent victim looking for someone to share his suffering with. I want to forget everything, he wrote in one post. I want to disappear. His second account, he portrayed himself as a professional in helping people end their life. I want to spread my knowledge in hanging, he said. I really want to become the source of strength for everyone who's in pain. If you are at a dead end, please consult me, he wrote. Takahiro knew what he was doing, and it appeals to a certain group of people, and in no time, he managed to gain a following. He pursued his victims by searching the hashtag suicide recruiting, and from there, he found a pool of young women who were desperate to end their lives. According to his neighbor, he was very close with his father as he frequently helped him at the workshop where his father works, and they would often go out for dinner and drinks. One day, he decided to live on his own and moved into an apartment, which is now dubbed the House of Horrors, not far from where his father lives. His father is the one who paid for his rent, which costs 19,000 yen, about $227 a month. Yasushi Sugihara, a professor of clinical psychology at Kyoto University, found a surprising pattern in Takahiro's method of luring his victims. The reason why he is so successful in luring his victims is that he uses a counseling technique. He narrowed the distance between the two by disclosing his own personal information, a technique used in counseling while helping heighten her interest in death. Yasushi analyzed over 200 conversations between Takahiro and his victims. To make sure the victims don't back off the last minute, he would set up a meeting in a train station near the victim's home, and from there, they would travel to Takahiro's apartment. He would use alcohol, tranquilizers, and sleeping pills to weaken his victims before assaulting them. I had a hard time making up my mind to do it, but I had done illegal things on a daily basis as part of my work as a scout, and had internalized the idea that it's only a problem if you get caught, Takahiro said. After the first murder, the rest were easy. While he did feel bad for some of his victims, he had little remorse for them. If they hadn't caught me, I would regret nothing, he said during his trial. Only after he murdered his 9th victim was when the police successfully apprehended Takahiro. It started when the victim's brother became concerned over his sister's disappearance, and with no clue of the whereabouts of his sister, he hacked into her Twitter account and found a conversation she had with Takahiro. When the police arrived at his apartment, they asked him about the missing woman. Takahiro admitted that she is with him, but she's in the freezer. The police must have been baffled at what they've heard, and considering that the victim has been missing for a few weeks at this point, they were preparing for the worst as they entered Takahiro's apartment. What they found were 3 cooler boxes and 5 huge storage crates. All were scattered throughout Takahiro's apartment, and some were stacked on top of one another. The stench must have been overwhelming because the neighbors have been complaining about a stench emanating from Takahiro's apartment for weeks at this point. What they found inside the boxes were the dismembered remains of 8 women and 1 man. Takahiro was taken into custody on October 31st, 2017. During the trial, it wasn't as smooth as people had hoped considering the atrocity of the murders, but because the matter of consent was put into question by the defendant's lawyers, things started to get a bit fuzzy. Takahiro's lawyers argued that because the victims had given their permission to be killed, Takahiro should be given a lighter sentence. The defendant is more appropriately guilty of homicide with consent and was probably mentally unstable, they continue. The prosecutors obviously gravitate to the worst sentence because of the gravity of Takahiro's crimes. This is according to Takahiro's own testimony, where the victims fought for their lives before they were murdered, which meant they couldn't have given consent. And to the people's surprise, Takahiro backed up the prosecutor's argument and told the judge, "Not a single one of my victims consented." When it was time for a verdict, here's what the judge had to say. None of the 9 victims consented to be killed, including silent consent. It is extremely grave that the lives of 9 young people were taken away. The dignity of the victims was trampled upon. She called the crime cunning and cruel and found the defendant fully responsible for his actions. Takahiro was sentenced to death on December 15, 2020, and stated he has no intention to appeal his sentence. In Japan, the date of the execution is kept hidden from both the criminal and their family. Only on the morning of the day of the execution will they be told. It's been a year since he was given the sentence, and to this day, he is still waiting for his execution. Upon the gruesome discovery of Takahiro's murders, the Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga has instructed ministers to step up measures against inappropriate websites that deal with suicide. Suga directed the ministers to study the spread of suicide websites and to cooperate with web operators and related authorities. He asked them to step up measures to delete or restrain problematic sites. Suga also urged them to help young people find appropriate counseling when they express the desire to commit suicide online. The murders had also caught the attention of Jack Dorsey, the co-founder and the former CEO of Twitter, saying that the case is extremely sad, which also prompted a change by Twitter, which amended its rules to state users should not promote or encourage suicide or self-harm. If you or anyone you know is emotionally distressed, please reach out for help. Contacts of organizations which offer advice and support are available in the description box of this video.